What's going on, everyone? So it's official. It has happened. The Los Angeles Lakers have officially fired Darvin Ham after 2 NBA seasons. I'll credit Jovan Buha because he was the one that made a report yesterday that said that this was supposed to get done this week, which makes a lot of sense, right? You kind of want to get this over with sooner rather than later so you can kind of get to the drawing board. You'd like to get your coach in line, get your coach together before you get into free agency and you end up, having to put your roster together. You kind of want to have your coach engaged, kind of have your coach involved in that whole process, right? Like, what kind of guys do you want? Like, we could get this guy or we could get this guy, right? Have the coach sit down, whoever that coach ends up being, sitting with LeBron, sitting with Anthony Davis, and you guys kind of just go through the process of trying to turn things around. So, look, Darvin Ham, again, he had good moments. He had a lot of bad moments, but there are qualities with Darvin Ham that I think if he were to go to a young team, I say, Charlotte is looking for, right, coach. Like if Darvin goes to Charlotte, I actually think that would be good for Darvin and Charlotte, right? I think Darvin has the potential to, once he kind of figures out the little nuances of like the game management, I think he can be a quality coach. Right? Like he does, again, have some qualities that you saw that you're like, okay, this is good. But the problem is the Lakers aren't in a position to be waiting 2-3 years for Darvin Ham to figure out, the process of being a quality head coach, right? Everyone's got to go through their stages. Everyone's got to go through their moments. Like even in this Denver series, he had a couple, he had a game or two where he was actually very good, right? So it's there. He's just got to learn how to be like consistent and kind of get, a lot of it is just his timing down and then, roster structure and rotation, right? But if he goes to a young team where he's kind of growing and developing with those guys and getting more comfortable with those guys, and then I do think that he can have that. Like I always want to root for people's success. Like I don't want to see this guy like, I'd like to see him continue to grow, continue to have success. It just didn't work out with the Lakers. Right? I wanted him gone too because, again, like at the end of the day, it's still business, right? At the end of the day, there's still a job to be done. And if you're not the best candidate for that job, for the position that you need, right, then it's like anything else. You got to go get that. But that doesn't mean like I'm like, oh, I hope he never works again. No, like I genuinely hope that he finds a place that maybe can work with him and be patient with him. And he can kind of go through 2-3 years of, figuring it out, right? But as far as the Lakers side of things go, like it wasn't working, right? Like I get the idea, you get this young coach. Like the Lakers keep falling for this, the allure of a new young head coach that you can have for the next 20 years, right? You keep seeing the Lakers kind of fall into this trap, right? Like dating back to Luke Walton, right? And it's like, They want this guy that they can have for a long tenure. So, every team wants that, right? Like every team, if they could find that coach that could be, the head coach for 20 years, then yeah, like every team in the league would do that, right? But unfortunately, it's hard. It's hard to find a guy like Greg Popovich that can stick around for 20 years and is an excellent, looked at, perceived as one of, if not the best coach ever, right? Like, there's a lot that goes into that. But like, I do think that the Lakers, they need to get this one right? You cannot mess this one up. You have to get this right? The Lakers are in win now mode. Again, if we were a young, up-and-coming team, say we didn't have LeBron, say we didn't have AD, say we were just like, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Max Christie, Maxwell Lewis, Colin Castleton, and like Jackson Hayes or whatever, right? Like we're just some young team that's just like trying to figure it out. We got some draft picks. We're trying to draft it. Then I would have been like, you know what? Keep Darvin Ham. Like let him ride through his contract. Let's see like what he can be at the end of it, right? And then like, or oh hey, go get a young coach that you like that you could grow and develop, right? But we're not in that position. We have LeBron James, and he's only getting older, and he's only getting closer to retirement, and he only has, the clock is ticking for him. And then you look at Anthony Davis, right? Like, Anthony Davis, yes, got 4 years with him, but, like, he's going to be on the starting to get to the wrong side of 30 by the time that's up, right? Like, so we got, you got this window here. You got to get a proper coach. You got to get a coach that can fit in that window and help the Lakers win now. Now, the thing is that the coaches are very limited right now, right? There's not like, who's out there that you're like, man, that's the guy to go get, right? Like, I've seen a lot of people throw out like Mike Budenholzer. Problem with Mike is he's an upgraded version of Darvin Ham, right? Like, he's a guy that, like he's better than Darvin Ham, but like a lot of the reasons Darvin Ham got fired are the exact same reasons Mike Budenholzer got fired. Not calling timeouts, letting teams go extended on runs, not properly utilizing players, not knowing how to like properly use rotations, like questionable, like, hey man, like what's going on here, right? Like, so again, like I just, if it happens, I don't hate it because at least it's a championship head coach and it is an upgrade, but like I don't know how much of an upgrade that is. Then you got like Terry Stotts. Again, I'm not like super sold on him. It's just like that's the problem that we're in right now. It's like, who do you get? Like, and a lot of people, they want JJ Redick or Rajon Rondo, right? There was a report yesterday, did a video about it, where the Lakers are supposedly interested in potentially bringing on JJ Redick as a head coach. It's got the LeBron connection, all of that, right? But here's my thing, like, okay, Rondo and Redick, mind-wise, understanding of the game, right? Like all of the things pertaining to basketball, they got that, right? They have the respect. They're guys that have been leaders. They're guys that aren't afraid to say what they got to say. Especially Redick, right? He's a guy that he'll speak his mind, right? Like, there's a lot that kind of goes into those two guys that you look at and you go, man, you could see it, but there's a lot that goes into head coaching beyond just like you're out there and you're drawing up a play and you're calling a timeout and you're telling this guy to go. Like, coaching is there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, in development and process. And, you have coaching staff to help, but you're still the guy, right? You're managing coaches, you're managing egos, you're managing players, you're managing, dealing with media and pressure and all. Like, there's just a lot that goes into the game of basketball as a head coach. And it's like, do you want another first-year head coach and go through the hiccups that a first-year head coach is very likely to have? And now you're in this position where it's like, well, right now we're all over. Now it's Darvin Ham all over again. Right? Or would you rather go get that veteran guy? Now, again, maybe it works, right? I mean, you've seen guys that have had tons of success in the first year. It's just, again, I think a lot of that would have to do with the roster, right? Like, you'd have to, if you built like some super roster, right? Like, again, you look at a guy like Luke Walton, right? He was looked at as like the next great head coach. But like everyone was, because he had like that run where he was like, what, like 30-3 or something crazy like that, right? Like, I don't think that those numbers are exactly correct, but like the point was he only lost like 2 games or something like that. Like, and as a head coach, but he was with the Warriors that like was looked at as one of, if not the greatest teams ever. And like only lost like 9 games. And it's like, well, yeah, of course he looked great. You had a historically great team that he was managing. Like, he didn't have to do anything. It was just like, hey, you guys go out there. Okay. Oh, we're up 30. Like, it was just like, it's an entirely different thing. And then he had to go and be a head coach. It's like, oh, right. And you see a lot of these young guys, they kind of, they start as assistants and then they work their way and then they become the head coach. Right. So again, maybe there's the hopefully if that happens, right, let's say they do sign Redick, because I wouldn't be shocked if they did. I wouldn't. But let's say they do sign JJ, right? Well, that's what ends up happening, right? Like, now you're hoping that, okay, he can kind of figure it out. I mean, he would have LeBron, right, because they are friends, right? They have the Mind the Game podcast together and stuff. So, like, I do think it would be at least at worst, a slightly different situation with Redick than LeBron, because Redick would have LeBron's support for one, but also like LeBron's brain and understanding, and like, like it would essentially be Redick and LeBron coaching, right? Rather than like Darvin Ham. And I don't think that there would be that conflict of like Darvin Ham makes a play and LeBron goes, nope, do this, right? Like I think it would be this. I think it would be like a an actual like duo rather than like one or one, which is something you need. You need management, but I still think, and I'm kind of rooting for the Clippers to take an L, and then maybe Tyronn Lue, right? Like it's kind of like fingers crossed. Can we get Tyronn Lue? Like he'd be the guy. Like that's kind of my hope in that regard, because I just think like he knows how to deal with LeBron. He knows he's won a championship with the Lakers. He's another guy, first year, got it done. But again, like how much of that was like he had Superman LeBron at that time. So I don't know. There's a lot of options out there, but it's done, right? Stage one is complete. You fired and got rid of Darvin Ham. Now you're moving on to stage two, which is trying to figure out who's the replacement. And again, you got to get it right. You do. You can't mess around. You can't, the last thing you want is to get a head coach that now it's like 2 years from now, it's like, okay, well, I guess fire him again, right? Like this is now what, the fifth, I think this would be the fifth head coach, something like that, since LeBron's been on the Lakers. It's not good, right? Like it's crazy. It's crazy. Now you just cycling through coaches. And it's like, at some point, you got to try to get it right here. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you excited about this? Are you disappointed about this? Do you think it's just scapegoat? Do you think, how you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. See you all in the next one. Thank you.